Hello guys, back with another YouTube video. Today we are going to review how to become a driving Empire Pro with 10 simple steps. Step number 1. Don't waste your money on stupid old cars that don't have very high miles per hour. The best car I recommend is the Ferrari F8 Tributo. If you don't have the money for that, just use codes. Look up some if you have to. Make sure you put like the current year, date, and stuff like that. Other than that, what you continue doing when you get that kind of money is you use it to your advantage and you buy like the F8 Tributo or something like that. Now, once you do that, you drive it around. You get the feel of the car. And once you get the feel of the car, you use that kind of driving to earn money. And when you earn enough money, buy the drag engine. Now, when you buy the drag engine, also buy like tire upgrades, brake upgrades, and stuff like that. Now, once you have done so, you use that to your advantage, and you can go do like drag racing. You can even do highway race if you're professionalized at that. Even if you are by chance already a pre-professional because you had a previous account that you used to play on but got hacked, you use that and you play. Then what you do is you can do those races. You just make sure you understand like how to play the game properly. This is just my personal opinion on how to do it. I've been playing this game for about 2 years now, and my current level is substantial from where I'm at. I kind of dropped off. Like, I started playing the game like 2 years ago, and I took quite a few breaks in between that. Now I like the game. Problem was that like certain cars cost way too much Robux. Like the Supra costs like stupid amounts. Exotics cost way too much. And as you see, I am driving my F40 around like it's just a normal Tuesday kind of ordeal. And this is what happens when you constantly grind. My stupidity was to like buy all the cheaper cars and then start saving up for the most expensive ones and stuff like that. And I found out that does not work. So you save up for like the F8 Tributo, you get all the upgrades, you go drive. The best races to do is circuit race, and that is probably for a good reason. You make a lot of money off of it compared to highway. Although highway, you can do more rapid kind of processes, but there's no such thing as a guaranteed win all the time there, because you're bouncing at high speeds, you have all that complications in like the racing and stuff like that. You can, like, if you're dumb like me and you forget to lift your car while going at really high speeds, you'll bump and then you fly off the road and you'll end up losing the race. Unless you're very lucky and getting like the stupidest person ever on the planet to drive with. They completely miss the checkpoint on a straightaway that is like almost impossible to miss kind of ordeal. But if you are lucky like that, or if you get someone that leaves the race because they don't get what they want, then highway is perfect. But I recommend best to use, like, I prefer using like circuit race. It's good practice for games like original driving and stuff like that. It's a lot more fun that way. I prefer doing like highway, but it's still I like doing the occasional like I just like doing that occasional mountain dash, the occasional stuff like that. Those kind of races definitely get you better at the game, better money and stuff like that. And when you are like me and you cannot decide on what cars what, just look up and research the better cars in the game and what people mainly use that is within your price range. But if you are like one of those Robux users, I prefer getting the Vision IE, which is the VIP car. Get that, and when you upgrade it full, you're practically unstoppable at like track and stuff like that. Drag race, not very preferred. You're still pretty good. You're actually average when you pull it onto the highway. If you get premium boost with that, you're practically just unstoppable at that point with any race. But I must say, if you have to like sell a bunch of old crappy cars just to get one really good car, I really suggest doing it. That's what I do. But I also do vintage collecting with certain cars, because I know eventually those cars are going to get deleted, and I'm not really wanting that. So that brings us to tip number 2. If you want to be a vintage collector, I suggest grinding and grinding and grinding. Now, if you continuously grind like I do, you'll end up getting like your F40 or whatever car, your Zonda C12, your Saline S7, which the Saline S7 is fast, don't get me wrong. It's just loud and it causes ear rape. I don't like it, in my opinion. I never really used it ever. Like, I never had it fully upgraded. But as I said previously, get like the F8 Tributo, you'll practically be set. But make sure you have a fast as hell car. Like, I have my Rimac, I have my, let's see, I have my Vision IE, I have, my Zonda Cinque Roadster, I have my Ferrari P80-C, like, those kind of cars. Yeah, those are perfect, like, cars that are pretty fast. But that just brings us up to tip number 3. So tip number 3 is if you are like me and you love doing circuit race a lot of the time, I suggest you using, like, as I said, my Ferrari P80C or a Ferrari F40, a Zonda Cinque, if you have that kind of money. Now, also, don't get me wrong, if you ever want to be pro, like, YouTubers, like, just my last video was playing with T Stingray, and he gave me a 10 out of 10 on my car, and I won the car meet, essentially. And don't get me wrong, I do show off every now and again, but a lot of people do. I like the Vision IE and stuff like that are cars that you need to use for, like, high speed and stuff, but also don't just go for those. If you are that kind of person who likes vintage cars, do that. But also make sure you get good cars. Like, if you're like me and you like doing the occasional circuit race, always go for the good cars. Like, if you have to do research, like, one of my most recommended cars that I can give you for that kind of circuit race is a Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera, or go for the Murcielago. And if you have enough money, go for, like, an Aventador or a Toyota Supra. Like, the Toyota Supra is probably best for a starter to use on circuit race, and mountain dash. The braking is really good. The controllability is, like, fucking ridiculous. Stuff like that. Now, that brings us to tip number 4. Tip number 4, I have to say, is meant for those kind of guys who are GoPro right away. And that is for like people who want to do it like around the city, circuit race, mountain dash all the time. They don't stop for highway. Those are probably the best scenarios for most people. Now, once you have got those, you are essentially set. And when you're like me, you will do that a lot. Like, that's how I got my Zonda Cinque, that's how I have my F40, that's how I have a lot of my cars that I do. I've had hundreds of cars in the past that were really overpowered. And guys, let me just say, don't just try to go all pro right away. At least save up roughly around almost $1 million. Save up for those good cars. Like, people might go for Bugattis. Bugatti is never the answer. Don't go for Bugattis. Like, if you're going for a decent car that's for $1 million, that's roughly kind of cheap in the supercar community, go for like a Hennessy Venom. Those cars are fucking indestructible. Now, this brings us to tip number 5. If you are after a good-looking car for a fair amount of, like a fair price tag, look for like certain Lamborghinis, and if you have to, look for like certain cars like the Zonda, Zonda C12, for example, is probably the best starter, like the best looking starter car in my opinion. It's true Italian, with no hint of German heritage ever. And nothing bad with German heritage in the cars, because don't get me wrong, I have German heritage in my bloodline, and don't get me wrong, I love German cars, because I used to love all German cars and stuff like that. And like, as you see here, I am currently driving my Vision IE. Those are beautiful cars, but those cost Robux. If you have Robux, just make sure you do research on the car packs before you purchase them. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your Robux on currency. It's a huge waste of fucking time to do such things. Trust me, I've spent over 2,000 Robux on currency, and I didn't even get enough. Like, I was at 0, and I spent 2,000, I'd say 2,800 Robux just to try to get one certain group of cars. And I didn't even have enough for that. And when I look at bigger cars, I didn't even have enough for those. So you bet that ain't worth it. Now, trust me when I say these cars are relatively okay. You better bet you are kind of wasting your money on good-looking cars. But you can also show off a little bit with those kind of good-looking cars. Just don't try to race them in front of people, because then you're gonna look like an entire embarrassment, and most people don't want that. Okay, guys, so this is going to tip number 6. Now, tip number 6 is probably one of the most gladly accepted things that most people would like to do. And a lot of people know this, but not enough. Don't always continuously go for a highway race if you're trying to grind. It's not the best. If you have VIP like me and you make like 25% more funding while you're driving, you just go back and forth on the highway for a long period of time. And if that's boring because you don't like going in a straight line because you're too squirrely like me, just go drive on the mountain or something, or go to circuit and do like hundreds of laps like I have done previously, like on an endurance race. Just do that kind of idea. Now, it's not always the answer to do so, but at least try. Now, this brings us to tip number 7. Tip number 7 is something that not enough people know. Bugattis, yes, are never the answer, but there are certain types of Bugattis that are good. But like the Veyron, don't look at the Veyron. Just don't, please. You're just gonna give yourself more of a headache later on when you're trying to flex. People are just gonna be like, oh, it's just a Bugatti. Who cares? Go for something exotic, like a Zonda, like I have. Or if you have the kind of money, get a McLaren F1 long tail. Or if you have even more money, go for a fucking Bugatti Bolide. Or Bolide, however the fuck you say it. Now, don't get me wrong, if you have the kind of money for a Bugatti Bolide or something like that, I do recommend, like, trying to not spend your money on that. If you have, like, 5 million, I prefer most people to get, like, the Bugatti 300 plus. Like, the only reason why I didn't go for that is because I'm not a fucking child who doesn't understand cars and how they work. I actually research about cars. I understand, like, engines. I understand a lot of that stuff, how a turbo works, how a transmission works, like, all those kind of things. I try to research that stuff. I know how brakes work, those things like that. Like, I understand those things. Like, the Zonda, I automatically knew it was going to be a fairly good car. It's fairly fast, don't get me wrong, in the later gears, like, I think from 5th to 7th, it starts to slow down, so it's not as fast when you get to those, because at around, I'd say, 230 to 240 is when it starts to go down in top speed, or not top speed, acceleration. Don't get me wrong, yes, it's sad to see that, but don't get me wrong, the car is very, very good at cornering at high speeds and braking, and it's very, very tight on the ground. It's literally very tight. It's like if you took, I don't know, a Hot Wheel and you tied it to your fan, or not your fan, like a wall or your door, and then you fucking super glue that on top of that. And then you wait for it overnight, and you try to take a hammer and blast the thing off, but instead you break your door instead. Or your wall, or whatever the fuck, I don't know what you guys use. But that's how tight it is on the ground. So, you bet your ass the car's good. And that brings us to tip number 8. Tip number 8 is whenever you are trying to drive, and you, like, make a slight mistake in your driving, don't give up. Just don't give up. I see, I don't know, way too many people give up in the middle of a race because they either screwed up or they are way behind the other person. Just continue doing the race. You still make money, am I right? Or am I wrong? Like, seriously. Get it through your damn skulls, you thick-brained assholes. Shit, I'm becoming dyslexic. But I just recommend that. And if you don't understand, like, what I mean, if you actually played the game, I actually recommend you doing the thing properly. Like, keep in mind, I'm a small little internet lad, at this stuff. And trust me, I might look small, but in reality, I'm fairly big. Not really. But, like, don't get me wrong, I make music and stuff. I also make videos. I am just a shitty small YouTuber who doesn't know shit. That's what a lot of people think of me as. But trust me, I'm planning on trying to team up with T-Pro and Game Time with Kyle and people like that. And hell, if I get It's Matrix with me, hell, we will conquer the damn world. In YouTube, not really. I'm sad. I'm stupid as hell. But, yeah. Now, don't quit the race whenever someone makes a mistake, or if you make a mistake. The only time you're allowed to actually quit is if you're fucking stuck in a wall and you cannot move. That's the only time you're allowed to quit. And if you're still able to move and you are stuck, you're still able to move, and there is still a very small chance you can get out, try. Try and try and try. You can't get out and like if you're in circuit race and you're already about 100 seconds in and you still can't get out and you're on the first lap, just give up. You can't really do much about it, because by the time you get to the second lap, it's probably going to be the game that's going to end because of how long you took. That brings us to tip number 9. When it comes down to actually crashing, don't like try to respawn your car or anything like that because you crash and you're stuck in the middle of a race. You're not going to fix anything. You're just going to get kicked out of the race, and then you have to try everything all over again. The cycle continues. I've seen way too many newbies try this, and it never works out. Now, there are other things to this game that besides like losing. And I suggest, all I do suggest is, like if you are not too good at the game or anything like that, and like if you are not too good at the game and you don't understand how the game works, do other research, go to other people's videos, explore the nation of Driving Empire, or wait for it, depending on like what era you see this damn video. I don't know, but it used to be called Wait for It and stuff. But all I say is, for tip number 10, if you ever start trying to get enough money and actually stay in the game long enough, don't just waste your money on dumb, fast, like stupidly overpowered fast cars. Actually go for cars that have uniqueness. Like my Zonda Cinque, I get so many people asking to drive it and like how much it was and stuff like that. I get a lot of people asking those questions. Don't give up in the game. Just don't give up in the game. Continue going. There's many cars you can get. The game is constantly growing. And by the time, like, if you're not an influencer in the game, then there's probably no point in actually trying to get, like, those kinds of amounts of money right away. Just try it. Just try to expand as much as possible. There's gonna always be infinite cars for you. By the time you get all the cars, there's gonna be at least another 40 more cars that are coming out, like from when you start trying to get all the money for all the cars in the game, and that includes for upgrades and stuff like that, which I've never seen anyone try to get that much cars in one go. Now, there's certain things that you gotta understand. There are admin cars that only admin have, and well, it's one thing when you see that. So you see rare unique cars, don't go asking them how to get it. You should probably know that by now that if there's certain cars that get deleted, you can't do anything about it. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.